add things. So here, like, user directory, this $sign point is your directory. So $sign point is like thing.
So you specifically
Yeah.
so that means that so this is not for
Whenever your user it has to be set up with that. So file let's see for trial error. I don't think but it is possible. I think it can very exclusive. Standard out into the file. You can also insert a file completely by doing -R in the file name. And that will like insert this. Go.
Setting up.
Okay.
Live stream seems to be working though.
Yay.
Hmm? Hey James.
Yeah.
X-Randar help please.
--R. Are you plugged in to the VGA? Okay. It's weird. Mine didn't have too much problem.
X-Randar --R.
Oh, just do it. Let's try this and then try parsing.
There we go. Were you using the VGA or?
I was using VGA because the HTML is so weird.
So weird, man. Okay. Is that readable?
Yeah.
When I get rid of the file,
I don't even know how to do that.
right click on it. Oh, I guess if you go to right, hide menu bar.
What's the root set? What's the root set? Oh, yeah, the one I was on Discord. What is it? Are they like a big mansion?
Shut up, man.
Oh, there was one I was like, oh,
This sounds a little like mechanical.
oh yeah? Who's it called? You're saying something with that, which is near River City. Okay, so 18% of your salary. And you pay $700,000, $1,700 a month.
Okay, yeah, I can.
Oh, sweet, like that?
I just realized I think I might have one problem. But I didn't wait to test it.
Okay, so how long do you live there?
14. Aren't you okay? Yeah, 14.
I don't see any information. I see a lot of pictures.
The little dot at the bottom is just because like well, because sometimes you feel like I'm a full time.
Actually, yeah, that's why I came. I have to figure out if I don't have to like invest the time. Yeah. How about you? Okay. Try something for Diva. See, this was good. Back into it with some useful examples. Yeah.
Oh, 7 ways.
What's up? Yeah.
One more time.
But if you don't like the yeah. Where it's not
Should we just start? Are you guys doing stuff? Should I start?
Yeah. I'm just gonna move it to there.
Hello, welcome to the world of HTML and CSS. How many of you have done some HTML, CSS at some point before? Have you done? Okay, great. Everybody's done some HTML, so I'm going to be moving kind of at a rapid clip. But if I'm going too fast, stop me, and as we get into bigger topics, I'll slow down. So, hypertext markup language, as you know, it's what the type of files that your browser loads, right? They load HTML files. So if it has a special kind of markup language. It's not a programming language. It's a markup language to mark up other text for display in the browser, because the browser can understand that kind of markup and use it to display different kinds of things on your website. So, for example, you can save this text as a file. You can open Vim, and I'm gonna save it as fun.html. And so you can use Vim to edit .txt files, right? .html files, JS files, whatever. So this file, we're gonna give it a .html extension so that your browser knows that it's looking at HTML. And we're gonna just do b, whatever, /b. And so what this is saying is the things in between the carets are called tags. And so you have a starting tag, B, and then /B is, we're saying we're closing that tag. And everything in between that area, the whatever, is the text that we want to have the B operate on. And what B is bold. So this is just gonna bold whatever text is in between those two sets of carets. Okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna save that, go to our browser, Control O is open file on your browser. Fun. And so here's this HTML file, and here we have a bold whatever. So probably if you've seen web pages before, you've seen that they have like HTML, header, things like that. But you actually don't necessarily need that. You can just have B. And the body tag. And then for these also, you have to close them in the same order that you open them in. And the body is the content that is actually going to be displayed. But there's also, maybe you've seen like head and /head. And what that has is metadata about the file. So metadata can include like encodings, I think, like author, the name of the page that you want to appear up here, like workshop or so elsewhere. You can specify different things in the header, but I don't have anything to add to the header right now. So I'm just gonna save this page and refresh this. There we are. Whatever bold, whatever italics, and there's the cat.
Can I, sorry, from your editor, did you open that from your editor?
So I'm gonna do this, J, and then /A. So what this should do, actually, let's go back. I'm being a bad Vim user. So what this should do is take that image that on our local machine, the cat, and add a link to it. It's within a link, right? So let's see if that worked. And yeah, so now when I mouse over it, it's a link to cool.com, which I don't even know what that is. I think it's available. And so, you know, there are all kinds of folly. Oh, go ahead.
So what, for indentation in HTML, what's the preference to spaces or flares?
Is it 2 spaces? 2 spaces for HTML?
Doesn't matter.
I think there's no convention
Is as many
whatsoever.
or as few spaces or tabs? Well,
As you can tell, I prefer the straight down approach.
So do you like edit your Vim RC though, so that all the colors are fitted? Is that what that is?
I think Vim, once you specify the extension of the file, like it has presets so that like it'll, you know, show different colors if you have HTML files or JS files or other kinds of files. I think you do have to configure that, but I don't know how. It's just like that for me. Okay, so I think one thing, remember, sometimes, you know, many people find that indenting helps them avoid things like cats. I want to say some stuff, then I reload, and I'm like, oh my god, I didn't close the tag. Now that whatever I put after the image is also a link, right? So if I go back, you can see that, where cat is still in the section that's in href, right? So I'm gonna delete that, make sure that everything only the things I want to be in the link are in the link, and put cat down here. So it's just plain text. There we go. Now it's just plain text, cat. So, any questions? These are good? Oh, one more thing. When you're giving sources to things like images or going to be relative to whatever, if you just put this, it's going to look in the same direction. And if you want to point to an external image source, you have to put in the HTTP, because otherwise it'll look in your directory. And if you have sort of a complicated directory structure on your website, and you say you have like an image, you have that people run into. So, oh, I apologize. I skipped the discussion of elements, which is important to the discussion of attributes. So elements are everything on a page, on an HTML page, is an element. And so that whatever is an element, that other whatever is an element, the cat's an element, and that text on the bottom is an element. And for example, I have Control-Shift-I inspect element. And you can click on anything on a website and do that. And what you'll see is the console, which will show you the whole HTML and show you what that element is, where it comes from. And as you move around, it'll show you like what the other elements are. Okay, so, and the body is the whole body, right, of the page where all the content lives, and HTML is the whole screen. And so each tags are a way to separate out different elements to indicate what kind of elements they are. And attributes are modifications or specifications that you can make to a particular element that has a tag, right? So if we go back, if we take my cat, so this is image is the tag, right? And SRC is actually one of the attributes of the IMG tag. Similarly, href is one of the attributes of the A tag, but there are lots more. And just to give you an example, so very common as well, height equals 1,000 width equals 10. So I've just added 2 more attributes that were before not specified, right? The image has its own dimensions, it's like default, but now I'm saying I'd like those attributes to have different values. So we go here. Okay, I think that's the cat right there. Yeah, that's the cat on the side. It's 1,000 tall and 10 wide, is that correct? Yes. Okay. And you can see all attributes for whatever tags you want. You know, they're really easy to find online. There's lots and lots of references. So just taking a look. So here are all the attributes to the image tag. Alt, border, height, etc., src, width, vspace. So all of these different things. And you can look around for any tag you want to see all the different attributes that it has. And how many tags are there, right? Like, how do we know what all the tags are? You'll find the full list of tags available in HTML. Many are rarely used, but I'm showing sort of some common ones in this talk. But something that you can do that's magic, that's how many people learn HTML, how I learned HTML, is use source and inspect element. So on a page like this, it's really easy to right click, new page source, and then you can see all the HTML. And I got my start just copy pasting full HTML blocks from other Sailor Moon fan websites onto my own Sailor Moon fan website. On some pages it might be kind of tricky because web pages are all complicated these days. But for example, our Cyber Wizard page is straight HTML. You can view page source there and take a look exactly at how it's created. You can replicate it yourself, play with all the different options, etc. And I will get to the console a little bit later, depending on how long this takes. A few more. Div is a box for text that goes all the way across the screen. And you might be wondering, is there another thing that doesn't do that? That's span. It's a chunk of a single line. So say you have a big old line and you want to do something to a piece within that line without breaking it, that's span. So I will show you. I don't really want to do this to my cat anymore. I'm going to try to be fancy here and fail. There you go. Okay, and so we're gonna, right now we just have this text hanging out, but we're gonna put it in a div, which is not gonna do much of anything for us, but a div, like other kinds of things, is it has attributes that you can modify for like that paragraph. A lot of people use div for paragraphs, chunks of the website. And then we're gonna, within that div, we're gonna do span /span. And because I'm not modifying it at all, yeah, it makes absolutely no difference, but we can do something called a few other things that are really common. Table. Table is really right, and then tr. Look at me, I'm gonna do cats. TR is rows and TD is columns. So first you specify the rows and then within that the columns. So right here, you can see my tiny table. There's only one row, but there's 2 columns. And so here's the entire row. And then there's this column, and this is the text within this column, specified by TD and /TD. And here's the text within the second column. Bullet points, another favorite. I'm gonna change this, get rid of this table, and change it to bullet points. And I'll just give you bullet points. So you say I want to start an unordered list, end an unordered list. Within that, I'm gonna have fish, then cats, fiesta. Now let's look here. So there's my beautiful unordered list right there at the bottom. And if you want to make an ordered list, just change the U, wow, to an O. I think I haven't done this. Yep, there you go. So, ordered list, very exciting. Forms, you can make forms. This is really handy. I'm just gonna copy this whole thing, and I'll go through it once I have it on my page. Set page Vim option keeps, it preserves the formatting of whatever you're pasting in. And then set no paste. So what this form is saying here is there's just a form tag, right? And here's the beginning of the form tag, here's the end of it. It's actually not probably. Anyway, the method that we're going to do is post. So when someone clicks submit, it will send a post to the server. Action, I don't know what the action is. That's it. It'll post to this directory.
Yeah.
It'll post to that directory. Then you can have whatever you want that's going to appear in the form. So paragraph with cats question mark. Then you can give it input type, which is what you want to do with your form. So there are different kinds of input types, like text, submit. I have an input type. The name of that input type is cats. And the reason why I want a name for that input type is so that, say I have a million billion questions, that's kind of like a label for what that question or item is. And the results that I'm going to get from the form will have the label there. So I know that, you know, if people put like Bill and Ted, that the first one is their cat and the second one is their pet rat, right? So we know which is which. And then the final input type is submit, and that's going to be a submit button. And the value for that is the text that you want submit to display on the bottom. So mine is going to say submit, just submit. Okay. So let's see if that does anything. All right, there it is. So there's the P, right? We had the P, cats. Then we add input type, text. There's that input type. There's also an input type that lets you do like a block of, like if you want. And
How do you source all of inputs in like the database? So Java, JavaScript,
how would you send the form contents to something, to a data?
If you make that kind of HTML, and then in the backend, you would have a server.
Post, right? If client, request method is post, then do this. Send whatever the content is of that post request into the following database, for example.
So when you're doing an action method,
Sorry?
what would the action be?
The action is the directory that this is going
It's just the URL.
Oh, it's just the URL that this is going to live at?
Yeah.
So like it will request.
Any other questions? I don't think this will do anything. Oh.
It's a file URL, so it's not a real server. It's a server URL.
Got it. Make sense?
Quick question. How would you be like, have 2 bucks that say yes now?
Let's try it. Input type submit. Input type. Do you know what?
No, submit works. Just change the value.
Got it. Submit value is, let's see, DT. No. Right? Yes, no.
Or the other one.
Huh?
Yes, no.
Submit no. Do what I want. So there it is. It's already.
Make it bigger. Plus plus.
Does that even work?
Control plus.
Control plus. There it is. Submit no. And then your server would handle how each of those actions gets handled. You can just choose to disregard all the yeses and keep the nos. Any other questions? So, CSS. That's the end of our very short module on HTML. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. How many of you have used CSS? That's great. So you can modify how all your elements, remember elements are every little independent chunk on a website. You can modify how they appear with styles. We remember attributes, right? So every tag has attributes associated, like image, src, width, height. The src, width, and height, those are all attributes. Some elements have attributes that are only for them, but there are also global attributes that every element and every tag has. So those are style, class, and ID. And there you could see all the different global attributes. And when you go to, if you're looking at references for a particular tag and you want to see what other attributes those tags have, you go look at references for those tags. But every element is going to have style, class, and ID. Style is something that goes, so you don't have to include any of those, right? But if you do want to modify them, they're available for you. So style is so this is an H1. We'll just do it. So it'll be good to have a header, right? So let's do above the cat. So H1 is going to be a big header, right? Cat / H1, right? Let's just see what that does. So that's our giant header. And so this is the usual thing, right? Like the tag between this caret, the slash, the tag between this caret, and this is the content that H1 is going to be acting on. But say we want to add, right now, right, it's just black, it's like the default font, right? It's not italic, like it's not anything. And we want to make it way cooler, so we are going to add a style. So the style goes inside when you're first specifying the tag, inside the 2 brackets for it after you do the tag, in this case. Style equals, I'm gonna copy this one from my example, right? And the way the format is, so in style, there's lots of different kinds of things you can style. So the way you specify them is by saying what the thing is that you want it to style, in this case the color, and what the value is that you want that style to have. So in this case, blue, right? So we're gonna save that, take a look. there it is, right? For colors, you can use, there's a number of named colors that are great, but there are also, you can specify colors in hex, and there are websites that help you get hex codes for particular colors. Anyway, colors are fun. And you can also combine multiple styles within that, and you separate them with semicolons. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're just gonna so text align is center. That is another thing you can style about this H1 tag, whatever content is in that H1 tag. Does this make sense? Okay. So there are a number of places where you can specify styles. And the way that we did it right here is called inline, because it's directly, like, right where you have that element, you specify what you want the style of that element to look like. You can do what's called internal, and this is a place where the head tag comes in handy. You add style in head. So I can show you what that would look like. So HTML body, head, /head, style, like that. And then H1, and then you do this. So stop me if I'm wrong, going off memory, I forgot how to do this. Color :blue. Text -align in the center. And now we're going to get rid of this style right here and see if it works. What's that?
Text align is semi.
No, I don't think so. We'll find out. Sorry. Okay, let's see. It worked. Okay. So the way I did it, color blue, semicolon, text align center. It's kind of easier to read this way. This is a really common format that you'll see if you're looking at CSS. And what we've specified here is that everything that has the H1 tag is going to have these styles applied to it. So if we do another H1 tag, horses, regardless of what kind of H1s we do, unless we specify otherwise, this tag will apply to all the H1 items that you'll find in your HTML page. And so, as you can imagine, this is really handy. H1 that you have and tell it, like, be in the center, be blue, one by one. You can just put that all in one place and have it apply to everything on the page that you want. But you don't have to. Oh, and the last kind is called external. This is also really, really common. The reason, I'll show you how it works. So back to CyberWizard. If you do view page source up here, so see in the title, that's another thing you can put in the head. And this is how you specify an external style sheet. So you keep all of the styles that you want in a separate file with the extension .css that includes this kind of information, right? So that no longer appears in, if we were trying to make an external style sheet from this internal style sheet, we would take all of this, delete style from the head probably, and then instead we would put in the head this kind of text. So we can do that. we go. Okay, so now what this is saying is we're going to have a link here and open not fun. We'll see that the line style applies to the H1 content here as well, because this file I copied over that it says look to this style sheet to find the styles that should be applied to this file. Questions? I'm going to stop real fast. No? Okay. Ah, there we go. There's a really great example. I just did a similar thing. And so the thing is, there are lots of different kinds of things you can specify within style. A lot of them are default, but and there'll be a certain way unless you specify them. You don't have to go in and list like every default value. But you can specify what font size you want, you know, whatever margin you want, font weight, loads and loads and loads of things. And I'm not going to get into them now, but you can look them up. Sorry. Okay, so we looked at how to do. It's okay. We looked at how to apply a style to an entire tag, right? But what if we want one H1 to be a certain way and one right, like horses, maybe horses should be like brown, cats should be, I don't know, black. Anyway, so there are other ways to specify when you need to define styles more specifically than just at the tag level. And there are a couple ways that you can do it. The first is class, which is you specify class is like something that multiple things can have, right? So if I give this div the class cool, this div the class cool, and this div a different class, right? If I've specified items for the cool class, it will only apply to things that have that class. I will do an example. Copy this, it's already there. So this is using inline. Oh no. Okay. Sorry. Oh. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add another div here. Not what I wanted. So what we're going to do, so an ID is specified with a hash, and a style is specified with a dot, or a class is specified with a dot. This is the wrong food, you all. I should be practicing them. Okay. So I think wow and now should have this style applied to it, and no should not. Right? Where am I even editing here? Fun. I think, yeah. Nope, I was editing not fun. There we go. So this has the style applied, that's the first div. This does not have it applied. And this div ID equals not cool. No /div. We only want one of those. We can't even have multiple of those. And so I'm just gonna copy paste this. Terrible. So we're gonna modify this to be not cool class, but hash not cool. Okay, and we're going to do font. Still want font weight bold, that's fine. We're gonna do color, colon, blue. Okay, so if this works, everything with the class cool will get the same thing as we had before, and everything with the ID not cool will get those other values. And so there it is. There's the no. That is the only the one thing. Do you have a question? No? Stretching? Question? Lights. Okay. External style sheet. View the source on Cyber Wizard Institute. Let's take a look there. So here's the style.css, and we can look at it. So we've specified some stuff for body, for H1, for the top class.
Space, not that.
Space?
We did with the class name of body.
Oh, every div with a class name.
The one
of body.
above it is an example of what you said.
Very good. So in this one, every class that is called top, every class within that is called time, will have this applied to it. Does this make sense? Whoa. So this more than just class IDs with mixing and matching different things. So I can show you that. So what we're going to do here is, so we have, so we'll do div dot div space, and then, I don't know, dot title. Like if we only have we only want the dot title classes, the title classes within divs to have these styles applied. We might have title classes elsewhere applied to other things, but if they're not within a div, this style won't apply. And what we're going to do is color, colon, red. And so we're going to have div class equals title. And then, I don't know, we can have image class.
That one's not going to apply. That title. I think you meant not to put a space.
Not with a space. Apologies.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
So div class title will only, and then if we have, say, image class title, .jpg.
Oh. You did the slash div. That's not a thing.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Getting tired here. Image class src. Okay, so there's the cat, which also has the class title, but only the title that was, only the content that was in the div class title had this style applied to it. Does this make sense? Would you like to jump in, or are you okay?
Okay.
Okay.
There's not very much here.
Okay.
That's the thing.
So you can use, when you don't use a space, it references everything that has, every div that has this class, right, or that has this ID. But if we use a space, it matches whatever is below that, one level below that. That doesn't make sense, so I will show you an example. So let's do not div.title, but div, I don't know, what's a good example?
Well, if you just put like div.title and then space and something else, right?
Okay,
Like a span.
like span,
Yeah.
like that? Okay, so if there are any spans in there, they'll be red within that. So let's see. There it is. So that's within the div, but so let's make a little bit of space here. So we're gonna have title, but then let's just say the title is what color? Red. The title is red. And what we're gonna do is do a span. Remember, and a span takes a piece of text in a line, right, or in a chunk of text, and applies a specific style to it. Slash span. Okay. And then if we're gonna do, let's see, another div with, you know, this is not a title, and we do span and slash span. So what do we hope will happen here? What we hope will happen here is only spans that are within divs with the class title. Any other spans, right? Any spans that are just in divs, any spans outside of divs, all other spans are not going to have that style applied. That's our expected behavior. Okay, so that's our red span, right? That's styled correctly within the div that has class of title. And this is a span, right? We put a second span in that second area, but we said it's not within a div that has the class of title. I'll just let that sink in for a second. Okay? Question? Get it? Get it? Sort of get it? Okay. And so there's lots of ways that you can combine things and reference, like you could, it's turtles all the way down for these, and you can specify styles for like as many nested levels as you want. And so this one, it'll apply to any span as many levels down from divs with that class, right? So if we do within that div, another div, more spans, more spans, more spans, apply everything within this div, like in that chunk, it'll apply this style to it. But if we only want to apply it to the first level of spans, right, and then we can have more divs, more spans, whatever, everything below that, we use this symbol. So it only applies to one layer down, not every layer down. So this is pick a particular element. It has an ID, ABC, and this is a class. Now this is getting crazy. I don't actually, what is this?
That's every attribute that equals the value bar.
What would be an example of that?
Like if you want to pick out a particular image by its SRC, you could use that.
Oh, okay. So let's do. That's a good example. So what do we have in terms of SRC images? Okay, so we have for every. Let's do this. So image, and then in brackets we do SRC equals cat. And brackets. .jpeg. Thank you. And then we do our little wee brackets. And we're going to say we want that to have width equals width colon. Really running out of steam here, you guys. No, just the number?
Yeah, just the
So, what this is saying is if an image has, so remember attributes, right? We can have attributes like src or ahref, right? So if we want all the links that go to a particular place to have a certain color, but not all links, right? So that's how we specify this. So we say, what we're saying up here is, whatever images you've got where their src, where their source matches the following text, will have this style. But any other images that have different sources, that style will not be applied to. So, man, I don't even have any other images in here. This is terrible. I'm not gonna do
just refresh.
Just refresh. Okay. Okay. There you go. Ta-da! If there was another image, it would just not be that. It would not have the 500 applied to it. 500 width. Oh, all right. You guys ready? Are your eyes glazed over? No? You're ready? Okay. So this is where it gets real. And what you will find is on Chrome, it's Control-Shift-J. I don't know what it is on other places. But what you see right here is called the console.
Control Shift plus to make it big.
This is the console. Sometimes it's on the bottom, sometimes it's on the side. And so what this does is lets you access the elements of the page with JavaScript. It's totally crazy. And so what this is, so I'll show you an example of that. So what you can do, document, which is that's the whole thing, right? The whole web page. Document.query selector. I don't even remember how to do this. Okay. I'll copy this. Actually, no, we already have classes. So let's take our classes, we'll take cool, okay? And so what we're gonna do, that takes parentheses, and what we're gonna do is this dot, what do we have here? Cool. And what we're going, so this is, we're specifying what we want it to grab for us, right? What do we want the JavaScript to grab with our invisible hands? And so what we're saying here with document.querySelector is, go ahead and grab me everything that has the class cool.
Just the first, yeah.
The first.
Yeah.
First, very good, thank you. And then we're gonna change, we can do different things to it. Like, for example, set the text content to be something different from what it is. Hi, Milo. I have your keys. Okay. Text content equals cool. Should this work? I think what this will do is it'll take the first instance of the cool class and we'll see. Did it do anything?
No.
There it is. Oh, here it is.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. So it changed the content, right? It overwrote the content that was already there. It didn't depend. It straight overwrote. So we're... Yay! Milo has his mouth. This is magic for Milo. So this way, and what the language that you use here, it's JavaScript. but the kind of JavaScript that it is usually called the DOM. And what the DOM is the document object model, and it's usually what people call whatever you see on the website screen and shut down. However, GeoCities torrent. There was loads and loads of content in GeoCities because there were loads and loads of sites, but as you can see, you can get all of GeoCities in one torrent, and there are a group of people who like maintain it and keep that torrent alive, and like help each other like fix all the broken links and it's pretty great. I encourage you to. And so this is a really nice blog, 1 terabyte of the kilobyte age, where they go through and they like surf the GeoCities. Anyway, it's pretty great. But on NeoCities, you can create an account for free and have loads and have your own space on the internet again. So I strongly encourage all of you to do that. And I'll show you what mine looks like. Mine is at kitties.neocities.org. And there's all kinds of stuff on it, like GIFs and stuff like that. Look at their page source, see what it's like. So again, this is like real. Look at that center tag, right? Look at me, I'm a bad person. I'm hot linking directly. It's an internet faux pas. This is all internet faux pas. It's all hot linking, except that balloons.js. Anyway, that's all I've got. Thank you. Questions?
The JavaScript, or is that?
Yes, you will see it. That will appear in script tags.
Oh, yeah, at the bottom.
If you look at view source, you can like do Control F for script or Control F for .js.
And that just does it automatically. You don't have to like post those things, even if it's just in the directory that it will look to.
As long as it's online.